Hey Guru Nation, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. I got a very special visitor here in Yuma, Arizona. No, this is not one of our monitors, but she used to be a monitor. Esther?
I did a little bit of monitoring.
She did a little bit of everything at the CRO. Sponsor level too, or CRO?
CRO mostly.
CRO. Now she's a consultant with sponsors in the oncology space. She also has a really cool platform that helps patient retention. It's really, she's got a blue ocean strategy when it comes to this. When she told me the idea, I was thinking, yeah, there's definitely a need for this. Just, I didn't think of it. So Esther's here. This video, you can go watch that podcast. The link is underneath. It'll be up. The audio will be up shortly. The actual video will be up in a week. So go check it out for the full in-depth one. But Esther, how did you get started in clinical research?
That's a fun story to tell. About 20 years ago, I was actually living in Israel, and I was working for a company that did health economics of developing countries. And when I moved to the US and got my master's in business after that, I decided I wanted to continue down the research road, but I knew finance really well. So I stumbled across PRA Health Sciences, or PRA International it was called at the time. And I was like, this looks interesting. They've got a research component to what they do. I didn't know anything about clinical research, but I knew money. I knew finance and economics, and I knew the healthcare industry. So I reached out and I started as a financial analyst with PRA.
Now, how did you reach out? Because a lot of people watching, they stuck at that part. Like, what do you mean reach out? And back then, there was no LinkedIn, I don't think.
No, we had, what was the name of the big research engine for job hunting back then?
CenterWatch?
It was like the GoDaddy of job hunting. It was,
for research?
No, just in general.
Oh,
it was
Monster.
Monster. Yeah, it was Monster. Yeah, I reached out on Monster. So I looked on Monster and I looked for things that had finance related, international, and research. And then I applied for a job that probably just looked like those general criteria of what I wanted, and they actually called me for an interview.
And you got it.
And 20 years later, I'm still in the research world.
So your first role there was what exactly?
It was a financial analyst.
And what does that actually mean?
So it's like you look at the budgets for the clinical research studies, and you help the sponsors with making sure that they're being lean and mean with what they're doing. You help in this case, I was helping PRA with their finances and some of the analytics that goes into that.
Negotiate. You're the one who says, hey, this is fair market value.
Hey, I was actually I was really good to the sites. I made sure they got paid when they needed to be paid.
What are your thoughts on fair market value? Like, just a small segue.
That's a good segue. I think that you need to have fair market value, but you need to take into consideration the bigger picture of what the sites end up needing in order to do a good job. And
that's much more than
sometimes I feel like that whole world could be, some reins could be loosened up a little bit to make it a little bit more realistic in real life.
Okay, so financial analyst, how long was that, and then what was your next role? All with PRA, right?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
PRA, yeah. So
good retention.
Next, yeah, they did a good job. They were a good company to work for. So then I was interested in project management. So in order to get to that path, go down that path, I had to find an advocate internally, and that's where I think that people don't realize you can't just apply for a job. You actually have to form relationships and build trust and get people to see the value that you've got that maybe not on paper. And so I did. I found a really great advocate within PRA, and she helped me through the clinical operations route where I had to go through the gauntlet. I had to go and do some monitoring. I had to become a lead CRA. I had to...
so you did all that stuff before project management?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So this advocate that I'm guessing somebody you found that you liked, they didn't have line managers back then, did they? Or that was what it was called?
Yeah, it was just maybe called something different.
Or it was informal?
Yeah.
Because now they have like, this is like formalized. Like every employee has a line manager.
I mean, I had a line manager, but
Okay.
but she was my advocate outside of that. She
see,
was somebody
I see.
that I reached out to as a mentor, and that
I see.
she saw my work, and we developed a
I
relationship.
see. For all the flack CROs get, I think they do a good job of like career development for
Yeah.
people out of necessity sometimes. And yeah, they'll lose employees all the time, high turnover. But there was high turnover when you were working there, and they kept you 16 years. Or
Yeah.
LinkedIn said 16 years.
Something along that line.
That's crazy. Okay, so you did all that, like in-house CRA, lead CRA, you were saying? Mm-hmm. How long in between positions? Like, was it 2 years more or less at each
Some
one?
positions were really short, so sometimes I just had to do the checkbox. I had to do some monitoring, and I had to do some in-house CRA work. And then they moved me into, we kind of formulated a role which we called a clinical lead, which wasn't really a lead CRA, but I supported lead CRAs and helped them with database lock and things like that, just so that I could learn what clinical operations was all about. And then I became a lead CRA and a clinical team manager. I think I only stayed in those roles a couple years, maybe 2. I'd have to look back on LinkedIn myself and see what I put. And then I became a project manager pretty quick after that.
And was that your last role at PRA?
No. I was a project manager for a few years, and then I continued to grow and decided that I wanted to be more on the sponsor advocate side. So that in that role at the time, I would have been a director of project delivery. So you have more of a portfolio of sponsors that you support, and you help them with their strategy. And so then I was that. And then the digital health revolution in clinical research started, and I was very interested in technology. And so then I reached out to whoever was in charge of technology at PRA, and I became a digital health person. Yes, so I reached out.
You didn't just rely on the same advocate for all of this.
Always have different advocates.
So the theme in your career, even in just that one company, before you went out on your own, was network. And it's never over.
Never.
Just if you see something that you're interested in, then you went to go pursue it and found the right people within PRA.
Yes. Everything I wanted to do, I did. And the best advice anyone ever gave me during that time was spend at least a couple hours a month, every single month, networking and meeting people. And ever since I was given that advice, I have never stopped doing that.
How did you network in PRA? Because was it internally, like, it was a lot easier. This was before work from home. Mm-hmm. Right, so you were at the office. Yes. Was it easier to network at the office, or you were still doing like LinkedIn? Eventually, LinkedIn came out, and or how did you do it? ACRP, SOCRA. How did you network?
Through my clients. So whoever I was working with on a study, I would reach out and get to know them on a personal level, and what was their career path and how did they get to where they're going. And so literally I would pick somebody, a new target every month that I was interested in, someone that I admired, someone that had a good reputation in the industry, and I would reach out and I would ask for a conversation. And 100% of the time people are happy to have that conversation. Yes, they're always happy to have that conversation.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. And then during your long stint with PRA, I'm guessing you started seeing opportunities externally, and this planted the seed for your consulting and for Bezel. Is that right?
It's the same company. So Bezel is half consulting and half patient engagement. So yes, that's what planted the seeds. And then I reached out when I had the idea. I'd never started a company before in my life, so I followed the same process that had been working for me for a long time, and I continued to reach out to people, except this time it was different people. So it was people that I had seen start companies before,
From PRA?
Successfully. Some
there a
PRA, one of the companies was a PRA acquisition. So the PRA had acquired a company, and I reached out to the founders of that company.
You reached out to the founders of the company PRA acquired.
That's right.
It was like, I'm guessing, a tech company or something.
Yep.
Do you want to mention the name or not?
Yeah. It was Parallel 6. So it was Parallel 6 was the company that PRA acquired, and then they became internally at PRA became known as Clinical 6. And I think now that Icon has acquired PRA, there's probably a different strategy involved. But yeah, I just reached out to them on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, can I chat with you? Wow. Do you remember me? I don't know if you remember me, but we were at some of the same functions together," and no, they were of course very happy to talk to me, and I still stay in touch with all those guys.
So they gave you idea like, hey, you know what? Like, this is it's interesting when you start meeting and networking with people. Mm-hmm. You start seeing things a little bit from their perspective, and it gives you ideas also.
Yes.
It's like a mix of ideas.
Yeah. And the cool thing is they had done it early in their career, and so they started Parallel 6 and they sold it to PRA several years after they had built it, and they were able to give me the good, bad, and the ugly. Like, these are the things that we would have done differently had we started this company now, or and these are the things that worked for us. And to this day, I can still pick up the phone and call any one of those guys and say, "Hey, like, this is another problem I'm having. What do you think?" And just bounce stuff off of them and keep on moving forward and figuring it out as we go along.
Wow. That's really inspiring. We're going to do a full podcast on this, 30 minutes or more. So stay tuned for that. Esther's LinkedIn is underneath this video. Go connect. She connected with others, so you connect with her.
Absolutely. I love it when people reach out.
That's awesome. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Bye-bye.